So, it's supposed to rain today. It's only supposed to be 73 degrees today, and that's literally amazing because it's been really disgustingly hot here. However, there has been chances of rain before and it doesn't rain, so I'm watering this bed. But I wanted to make this video because everyone always asks for a garden tour. It's like my most requested video is a garden tour. And I never do the garden tours because my gardens are not pretty. I don't have fancy raised beds. I don't use pretty soil. I don't plant in rows or sections or weed very well. And my gardens are not really YouTube worthy to like look at. But then I got to thinking, like, it is something that I am very proud of because they're not perfect, because they don't look amazing, because they aren't all in rows. So I'm gonna show you what my gardens look like right now. Like, I haven't even showed you guys any like produce that has come out because I don't want you to see, or didn't want you to see, what my garden looked like. And I shouldn't be that way because I personally am very proud of our garden and what it has produced this year. And we still have fall garden stuff going in. The reason I'm watering right now is not to water stuff that I have currently. It's because I'm gonna plant a round of green beans and beets for our fall garden. So I'm gonna turn you guys around here and I'm gonna show you what our garden looks like as of right now. It is the end of July 24th, maybe 25th. And I'm gonna show you how I do things here. I build soil, not just in our compost pile, but anywhere that I grow stuff, I build the soil. And I'll show you guys how I do that too. And we have several garden areas. This is just our main garden. And so here it is. So this part here where there's lots of like grassy areas, this all used to be yard last year. We expanded it. Over here where this wood chip line is, and that way was garden last year. We expanded it this far, like double, maybe even a little bit more than double. So there's still a lot of grass in here. We will do another round of covering it and some cover crops and stuff through the winter time, and hopefully get some of that grass and weeds and stuff out of there. But I don't want to pull all of this up. I don't want to do that because this is all nutrients for this soil that is there. So, and we also do no-till, so I want this nutrients that's in these weeds and this grass. So let me just explain to you what's here. You can see these like random patches of wood chips right here. See these right here? These are our sweet potatoes, and they're kind of hard to see. There's some back here that are really vined out and doing really well. Some back here, over here. And the sweet potatoes will just like cover this entire area. And they are a morning glory species, and they will like root down into the soil and stuff there, and you know, produce more potatoes that way and get more nutrients from the soil. So I don't want to cover this whole thing with wood chips right now because then I'm, you know, limiting the amount of soil space that my sweet potatoes have. So could I cover this completely in wood chips? Yes. Will I? Absolutely. But right now I can't do that in order to make sure that these little guys have the best possible outcome, and they've got access to soil. I have some winter squash happening. This one kind of was struggling for a little while because over here where these wood chips are, you can see these stalks. We had like 10-foot sunflowers, 10-foot long sunflowers. And we fed these to our chickens and our pigs and our rabbits, and they really loved them. So we cut these down, and so since then our winter squash has been doing amazing. I'm not sure which one this is. We've planted like spaghetti squash, butternut squash, acorn squash, lots of squishes. Another winter squash over here, and mixed in with sweet potatoes. There's just sweet potatoes everywhere. Anywhere that you see like random little patches of of wood chippy. You guys look at my hands are forever just dirty. I'm sorry. It's just gonna have to be that way. I did leave a few sunflowers here. This whole middle section was just sunflowers. You can see all of the like stalks that we cut down, and there's a reason that I grew these and then chopped and dropped them to build the soil where we're at. I don't have to haul in compost. Our main compost pile is back here by the barn, and we pull out of that anytime that we need it. However, if I can build soil right where we're at, that's what I'm gonna do. So we have some potatoes happening in this little section here. There's also some back behind this patch of sunflowers. So this will be the third succession of potatoes that we have grown. I still have a few more from our second round up front that aren't quite ready yet. Maybe within the next couple of days they'll be completely dyed back and I can you know, I can dig them up. So we'll let these go a little bit longer and then we'll pull them up. And then over here where these wood chips are, it was just sunflowers. There was also beans. I put pole beans down in here to see if the pole beans would trellis up those sunflowers, and they did. But I've said this in other videos, we just are not a huge bean family, and we have like so many beans in store. So it was just kind of an experiment. I planted the beans underneath the sunflowers and it absolutely worked. So if you need a space for your sunflower or for your beans, 100% plant them under your sunflowers. It will totally work. So what my plan is here, where all these wood chips are, I've chopped and dropped all the stalks from those sunflowers are right underneath those wood chips. And let me move for you guys. Bella. All of these wood chips are covering the stalks that we knocked down, minus some that I put a couple of them in the compost in the lane by the barn and gave a couple of them to the pigs. But for the most part, the leaves and the stalks of the sunflowers are all underneath these wood chips. So I'm going to plant all green beans right here for our fall garden. Here we have some paste tomatoes. Let me zoom in. I'm trying to hold the hose and do all of this at the same time. Here we have some paste tomatoes that I planted really late, but they're doing all right. We also have some eggplant. It looks like something maybe chewed on the leaves a little bit, or I don't know, maybe a little caterpillar. There's another eggplant. And I've got some zinnias that just kind of volunteered in here. And then on this little trellis, we have loofah sponges. Is that what they're called? Loofah pumpkins, gourds, loofahs. You know, loofahs. And it's hard to see, but see this little yellow flower in this sunflower right here? That is not a sunflower. That is a loofah. See that little baby loofah? Just hanging off of there like that. So this loofah said, screw this baby ass trellis that Tanya put here. I'm gonna climb this giant ass sunflower. And so I left these two sunflowers here because the loofah is very attached to it. Very, very attached to it. Over here, back behind here, we have pickling cucumbers. There are several that I need to go get off of there. For the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, I've been getting, you know, like thumb-sized pickles off of there. And then we also have more pickling cucumbers back here that I put in really late. And then here is where our failed onions were, this row. I used the pitchfork and just kind of busted up some dirt because it was primarily covered in wood chips, probably 2 or 3 inches of wood chips, and you want to expose the dirt. Anytime you're using wood chips, you need to expose the dirt when you're planting seeds because your seeds need the nutrients of the soil. I think a lot of people make that mistake when they tried the wood chip or the Back to Eden garden method. So just like over here where I have where I'm going to plant the green beans, I will push back the wood chips where I'm going to plant the green beans. I will plant my green beans and keep it watered in those areas and let them sprout. Once they sprout and they like have their true set of leaves, then I'll like, you know, scooch the wood chips around them. But that's how you have to do it. Wood chips are amazing for for feeding your soil and maintaining, you know, temperatures and moisture levels and stuff, but it doesn't create the nutrients that your plants need to grow and thrive. Like they need what's in the soil. That's just all there is to it. Okay, let me show you what else. I also have this volunteer ground cherry that I haven't checked on in a couple of days. So that's exciting. They look like little tiny lanterns. It's really cool. So my plan here, I had failed attempt at onions here in this row. I'm gonna put some more beets right here. You can see back here we've got our wheat that we harvested and dried, and I have to move that into the shed because the deer, you can see that some of them are like getting pulled up off the fence because we have deer that sleep back there and they're trying to get my wheat. And I'm absolutely sure they get into the garden. Maybe not, because I think the dogs would probably lose their whole minds. But anyways, and then over here we have lots of pepper plants, different varieties. We have bell peppers, hot peppers. We have tomato, volunteer tomato right here. There's like 3 volunteer tomatoes right there. What is this? I'm not sure what this is. I don't know if it's a volunteer one of these, the ground cherries. I have not ID'd it yet, but I didn't pull it because I don't know what it is. I want to check it out. And then back in the corner behind all these, we have more peppers. There's just kind of, and it's hard to see all my stuff because I chop and drop this, like all this bindweed here. I leave the bindweed for a minute because it's got pretty flowers on it and it attracts the bees and the bugs and the pollinators, right? And then once it starts creeping up onto my plants, like this one over here, once it starts creeping up onto my plants, then I will come out here and I will, you know, chop it back away from the plant. I will pull it up. And sometimes I cut it up because I want to leave those roots in the ground just to have some biomass down in the soil and just help aerate and stuff like that. But then I just leave them there. I have piles and piles of dead dead weeds. Here's some right here. Just dead weeds. Leave your weeds where you pull them, and especially put them around your plants. I always put them around the plants. You'll see dead weeds around the plants here. And it's not pretty, it's not glamorous, it's not magazine, Instagram, YouTube, aesthetic, but that's the reality of it for me. And creating the nutrients that my plants need. With that, we do completely organic. We don't use any powders or potions or sprays or anything like that to feed our garden. We simply use what we have here on the farm. And having weeds is not a bad thing for us. It covers the ground. It provides nutrients to our soil and to our plants. And even these sunflowers were super duper pretty for a long time. They brought in tons of pollinators for us, and we did leave some. There's still plenty back here to enjoy. But now they're going to provide a lot of nutrients for our soil. So it's just really a win-win situation. And then here I have some basil. I have a volunteer tomato plant. Here's what's really cool. We have a grape plant that volunteered here. We have some grapes over on the other side of the property, but so we have a grape that's happening here, and we have a raspberry bush starting right here. So that's really amazing. We have cilantro happening over here. Let's see. Let me take you to some other gardens. Let me take you to some other gardens. We'll go up here and I'll show you. We've actually started planting our fall garden up here. We've already got stuff in the ground, so that's super exciting. And you know, like, I've already made videos on canning and preserving, and like, do I want to keep making those same videos over and over again? You know what I mean? You can only do so many how do you can tomato videos. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. There's people that their content is literally the same shit every single time. New tires on our trucks. Now listen, I know you guys are probably sad that we cut down all of the sunflowers in the back, most of them, but we still have plenty of sunflowers up here. See? Lots. And same goes with up here. None of this like looks beautiful. To me it's pretty because I know that it's feeding my plants. to people that drive by or to watch our videos, they see overgrown grass, they see piles of weeds laying around, and they probably think that we're just really lazy and maybe don't know what we're doing. And that's the, you guys, look how big these sunflower leaves on this guy are. They're so humongous. Anyways, that's the opposite of how things work here. I am doing this all with intention. I work really hard to keep the weeds and grow the grass, because that's all nutrients. When you're mowing your grass down and cutting your grass down, you're literally taking nutrients away from your plants. Of course, if you're not someone that does things organically and you rely on, you know, a fertilizer you can go buy at the store, then these aren't like practices that you would have to do. In the event that there aren't fertilizers available, or you don't want to use a fertilizer from the store, this is how you do things. Just chop and drop it. We have a big old pile of wood chips right here, and that just helps us with all the things. We grow stuff underneath all these trees up here. I have peppers and potatoes growing up here. Let me call my son back real quick. Okay, let me show you. These are our trees here, and I just kind of experimented up here. I like to do little experiments. Like, I don't have a full solid garden that is like tomatoes, peppers, beans. Like, I plant shit everywhere. And if it grows and does well, I will plant it again and again and again in that spot. So I've found that underneath these trees, potatoes do pretty well. I let the weeds completely grow underneath these trees, and I'll show you why. Or at least I hope I can show you why. These trees, when we first moved here, I wish I would have, you know, been taking video when we first moved here. These trees, when we first moved here, were very unhealthy. In fact, we talked about having this one removed because it was so unhealthy and like dying. It never produced pine cones. Never. This is the 3rd year we've been here, and this is the first time that we've seen this tree produce pine cones. I don't know if you can even see them from this side. There's not a bunch of new growth that you can see currently, but there was a bunch of like new growth on these when it was time for that to happen. Something else I never saw until this year. Oh, right above me. Let me turn the camera around. Above me, there are pine cones growing. Where the hell is it? Oh, here it is. See them? See the pine cones? See those pretty pine cones? That has never happened since we've been here. So here we have a bunch of chickpeas that we are growing. Up front we have, I planted some brassicas that we will, for our fall harvesting. Here we've got some winter squash. Now these I have not seen any flowers on yet, and I am really terrible at growing melons, pumpkins, gourds. I don't know why. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but fingers crossed I have some that like produce this year. Here's the other potatoes that I was talking about. We have, oh, it looks like something's been eating their leaves, which is fine because we're gonna pull them up anyways. Here's a little potato right here, you can see. But something's been munching on these leaves. And I think the reason I'm seeing that now and haven't seen that before is because there used to be a lot of plants here and there were a lot of sunflowers here. So the bugs were happy. The bugs were fine. They did not have to eat my garden plants because they had what they needed, you know? Anyways, so here we'll also plant some peas. We have peas happening right here where there's wood chips down. We'll plant some green beans. We have some, what did we plant here? Maybe radish. You can see all these little like micro greeny type of radishes here. I'm not sure what this is. I don't know if it's a pumpkin or a weed, but we'll probably end up pulling this guy just because it's kind of wimpy. Anyways, my son helped me plant these radish seeds, and we'll just see how that goes. Once they get a little bigger, we will pull, we'll put some wood chips down, and that will keep the soil there really soft. Here's some tomato plants that we got for 25 cents. And I'm just going to pick off these dead leaves. Same with if you're like pruning or pulling off leaves that have been damaged, just put them right back down underneath your plant, because this is just nutrients for that plant. Unless, you know, there's like bugs on them. I did have a really big melon over here in this bed, and there were tons of squash bugs on it. So I pulled the whole thing and gave it to the chickens because I don't want the squash bugs. But like this guy, looks like there's 2 tomato plants here, maybe. These were 25 cents. These are, I am not one that goes and buys starts. I just don't. But when it's late in the season and for the fall garden and stuff is really, really, really on sale, I will absolutely get some starts. I planted some, I don't know if I planted green beans or peas up here. Here's some white goosefoot. This is just a weed. So just pull it, put it down. This is another grapevine that is just volunteered here. We have lots of birds that like to hang out here, so I'm assuming all of the grapes that we have out back, lots and lots and lots of grapes. The birds are eating those grapes, and then they're dropping their seeds for us. So up here, you guys, I want to show you these. Look at this. Look how big these leaves are. And I've even like cut this plant down. We like to cut the flowers off and use them inside as like, you know, put them in a vase and make them pretty. Took my dad some flowers the other day for his room. Those are giant leaves, like bigger than my head, like bigger than 2 of my heads. They're so giant. These up here, there's tons of sunflowers. Okay, let's see what else we've got. You see what I'm saying? Nothing here looks nice. I want to show you where we had our radishes. And you can eat these radish pods when they're real young. But this is essentially, I let, I don't know, a dozen of them or so go to seed. Maybe a little less than a dozen. Go to seed. And they create these seed pods. And you can actually pick these and eat them when they're young. And they're real tasty. They're kind of peppery like a radish is, you know. I'm kind of scared to touch stuff because come to find out we had some poison ivy back by the fence line, and I've touched it 1,000 times, and Jake said maybe you're just not allergic to it. I didn't realize that you could or couldn't be allergic to it. So I'm kind of weary of what I touch. Check this out. Here's a grasshopper in here. Can you see him? But I planted morning glories, and I've never had them grow. Never. See this viney stuff here? And I left these sunflowers here because this is a bedroom, and so they provide shade when it's really, really sunny. So I left these sunflowers here, and this morning glory is vining up. This is morning glory. This is morning glory. It's just vining up the whole entire sunflower. So it's just really awesome. Anyways, back to the radishes. I got a little distracted. That's just me. I get distracted. We have some carrots. I'll probably let a couple of these go to seed, because then next year I'll have carrot seeds. You could even plant carrots again now for a fall garden. We'll probably do that. We're also going to plant some more radishes. Let me see if I can set you guys up right here. Can you see? So these are these seed pods, and normally when they start out, they're real young, they're real green, you can eat them, but this is where the seeds come from. And once the shell of these like completely dies, then there's these little seeds inside of them that you can plant and have more radishes. I could just leave this the way it is, and then next year would have like tons of radishes. Oh, here we go. See? Let me see. You see them? All these seeds. So these are radish seeds. And then we can just replant them and have tons more radishes. So I didn't have to go to the store and buy more radishes. They're just gonna reseed themselves. I'll help them out. Some of the pods that don't bust open on their own, I'll help them. Another reason I let the grasses grow is, aside from creating biomass and roots and stuff for the soil, I don't want the soil to be bare, because that means that weeds can present themselves, which is whatever, because we're going to feed everything to the animals anyways. But I let all of these grasses grow because I feed them to the pigs and the chickens and the rabbits, and they really enjoy them. And when we had the goats, we fed it to the goats. Like, they all really enjoy the fresh grasses. Here we've planted some squash. It's either spaghetti squash or butternut squash. Here we have some kale that has been going all summer long. I cover it with this blue blanket over here in the hot part of the day, so it doesn't die. We are like done eating this kale and have been for a while. That's why it's really big and overgrown. But our rabbits really love the kale. I've planted some peas. Here you can see one little baby spinach plant that I planted. Bolted, like it didn't even produce like first. It bolted and went to seed. So we've got a bunch of like spinach seeds. So then once these are completely dry, we can just, oh yeah, see, here's a pea. Here's a pea that's sprouting right here. Let's cover him up a little better. Here's another one. Here's one. I always have a hard time with peas. They always try to pop out of the ground. I don't know if I'm like watering them too hard or what's happening. Okay, and then behind me, of course, we have sunflowers. Here we have some beets happening over here. We also have herbs happening over here, but it's underneath the grasses. I really do need to go pull these grasses back here. We have some more dill planted in here, and I've planted more beets along this row here. And I don't know why my chamomile hasn't done awesome. This whole like grassy patch last year was chamomile. The whole thing was chamomile. And now I just have this little guy, which I've still been harvesting from, but it's not the same. It's not the same. And I have like these two little baby plants over here, and then one over there. Here we've got Malabar spinach. Today I'm gonna get some string and bring it up and like trellis it up this way, and you just eat this like regular spinach, and it does really, really well in the hot days of summer. This one over here is producing some seed for us. Here's some little seeds that it produces. Anyways, this guy's really long. It's just fallen down and kind of connected. It's just really pretty. It's really good. It's kind of peppery, but largely tastes like regular spinach. Here we have, I want to say this is butternut squash, but I'm not entirely sure. We have a male flower. I've been having an issue with having like lots of male flowers and no female flowers, and then some plants will have like female flowers and no male flowers, and it's maybe the most frustrating thing. I've even tried to like help pollinate them. No Polly, we are nice to our friends, right, Nettie Spaghetti? Our cats love these ink spot mushrooms. Like all of them love these mushrooms. I've Googled it, I've asked the vet, it doesn't make them sick. I don't know, they just love them. So anyways, here in the next couple of weeks, we will tear down these sunflowers here, except for the ones up close to the house, but these ones here in the wood chips, and then we'll plant more stuff in this space here. We have this whole bed, of course, that we're gonna do beans and peas in. I wanted to check to make sure I didn't have any carrots that were ready that we could give to the chickens or the rabbits. This one lost its top. See it? It doesn't have a top on it, and I want to get it out of there. I don't have any of my tools here. It smells very carroty for sure. What, Mama? I can't get it out. Looks like a good sized carrot though. What is this one? I kind of want to pull it. I'm gonna pull it. Look at these beautiful flowers. Okay, that's not it. That's not it. These are some flowers. We have Malabar Spinach planted up here. Here is where we mainly do our sweet potatoes. It needs watered up here, but they're doing really, really, really well. A lot of them are like vining up, and they'll get heavy and they'll vine down and figure out where the dirt is. But over here, show you guys, I smell rain. I have some amaranth right here that really needs some fertilizer. I put some coffee grounds down around it and this one died. So maybe it didn't need nitrogen. We have some melons here. I'm pretty sure butternut squash or spaghetti squash. And then we have some okra plants. Once we get a good rain, they'll really take off. They'll be really big and they'll just do awesome. We have just some pumpkins out here. This one's doing really well. We have some Mexican marigolds. Here's another pumpkin. I don't even like marigolds. They're not my favorite. No, that's not true. I don't like mums, but mums are very similar to marigolds to me. I don't know, I just don't like orange flowers, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, those are my gardens. And we have more stuff that's going in. We don't stop. We don't stop with the summer garden. We continue with the fall garden. We will continue until we cannot continue anymore. And we just put a calendar in front of us. Our frost date, our expected first frost date is October 15th. So a lot of these things are like 45, 60, 90 days until, days to maturity for whatever it is that you're planting. So you still have plenty of time to throw some shit in the ground and plant it, and just keep going. Just keep going with all the things. I need to do some stuff. I need to come pull some carrots. Maybe check on my beets that are back here. I need to pull some kale for the rabbits. I need to maybe collect some radish seeds for next year, because I don't want them all to fall. I don't want 7,000 radishes growing in one spot, And that's it. This is our house. I know to you guys it maybe looks messy, unkept, unorganized. It isn't. There's a reason I do all the things. Same with up here. Chop and drop. You'll see stalks of flowers, weeds. I do that everywhere. Why build the soil in just one spot when you can build your soil right there where it stands? I've got some lemongrass growing up here in this pot. I'm sure this looks like unkept. And like people drive by and like, Tanya couldn't even just put flowers in there. Oh, there's some like big victory for me I wanted to share with you guys. Our town puts out these big baskets of petunias, like big. I'm talking like if you bought them, it'd be like $150 plant basket. Like they're huge. And of course I don't want to spend money on any of them. And I have more morning glories happening up here too. These are morning glories. They'll bloom soon. Anyways, I planted my own petunias, and for the longest time I thought that these were the petunias, and I only planted a few seeds because I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never planted flowers, not really, before this year. Like some zinnias and some cosmos and stuff, but never like, never like stuff that's like petunias. Anyways, I thought that these were the flowers for the longest time. Like, oh my goodness, my petunias are doing the things. And then I noticed these guys like growing up in this basket. And yeah, I have petunias. I have petunias happening. Look at this. My first petunia. I'm super excited. I have some in another pot growing too. And I planted these things forever ago, like months ago. So I don't know what the average date of maturity is for a petunia, or what I did wrong or could have done better, but it took forever. It took a very long time. Anyways, that's all I've got for you guys. I've got to take my son to a job interview, his first job interview, and edit this video and get it out for you guys. I hope it's cool where you're at today. 73 degrees here. It's possibly gonna rain, so it's a nice afternoon to go inside and do some inside stuff after you get your shit done outside, of course. And we'll see you guys again next time. Goodbye!